Alright. Okay, everybody. Welcome back to our live stream. My name is Harley from the Frame Plate, and today we're going to be going over the next portion of the CSS foundations. And we're going to be going through the exercise repository that we cloned to our machine. So we're going to go in and start with, and let's go, can we open, yeah, let's actually go into our repos here, and or actually we can read the readme from in here. So let's go to exercises code dot, open it up in VS Code. Yes. Alright, let's read the readme. Okay, CSS exercises. These exercises are a series of CSS related, and we can also read that here. So let's do that. Make it a little bit more readable. Huh? So these exercises are a series of CSS related topics or tasks intended to complement the HTML and CSS content on the Odin project. They should only be done when instructed during the course of the curriculum. When doing these exercises, please use all of the documentation and resources you need to accomplish them. You are not intended to have any of this stuff memorized at this point. Check the docs, use Google, do what you need to do. Do what you need to do besides checking the solutions to get them done. If you have a suggestion to improve an exercise, an idea for a new exercise, or notice an issue with an exercise, please feel free to open an issue after thoroughly reading our contributing guide in our main TOP repo. You can use my repository. Oh baby, a triple. Hell yeah, baby. I mean, what? I'm just kidding, nuts. Hope your day's going good, bro. Alright. Okay, fork and clone this repository, which we did. Go to the exercise directory and open the HTML file in your browser. Okay, so let's move that this way. And we go to the what now? Go to an exercise directory. Okay. Okay, it's okay. Let's finish reading this first. Okay, so we go into an exercise directory, open the HTML file in your browser. You can either open the file directly or use something like VS Code's live server extension. What we'll do is not the solution. Alright, so we're going to go here, there, hit enter. Style me via the external method. I would like to be styled with an external method, please. Okay. And for each exercise, read the README thoroughly before starting any work. Each README has a self-check list. Use this to make sure you haven't missed any important details in your implementation. Make your edits in the index.html and or the style.css files in order to make the output in your browser look like the desired outcome images. Depending on the instructions of the exercises, you may only need to make edits in one of these files. Once you successfully finish an exercise, check top solution to compare it with yours. You should not be checking the solution for an exercise until you finish it. Keep in mind that top solution is not the only solution. If your solution differs wildly from top solution and still passes the self-check criteria, feel free to ask about it in the chat room. Do not submit your solution to this repo, or as any PRs that do so will be closed without merging. The official solutions put all changes at the end of the CSS file, which may duplicate some selectors, e.g. there might be a body in the given CSS and another body in the solution. When you are working on an exercise, it is best practice to add your CSS to existing selectors instead of duplicating them at the end of the file. Add your CSS to existing selectors instead of duplicating them at the end of the file. We're sacrificing this best practice in our official solution to make it extra clear to what things we change to solve the exercise. Unless listed in the self-check section, do not worry about getting the exact pixel value for things like margin, padding, and font size. These exercises are intended to test your knowledge of CSS, not your ability to guess what a screenshot is using font sans serif bold 16 pixels or that the margin is exactly 42 pixels. You may need to add some elements of your HTML to your HTML to get things into the right spot. For the first few exercises, we make it explicit when this needs to happen. You may need to add more selectors to your CSS file. The first few exercises have almost everything already done for you, but as you progress, you'll find that you need to add more and more to get the correct results. Alright. So, we got that. Let's see here. Okay. We don't want to look at the solution. We only want to look at... So instead of this, let's start off with... And let's go to CD Foundations. And we'll start with CD 01. Oh. Right, and then we're going to code into that one. Okay. Let's read the README first. Okay. So in this exercise, you're going to practice adding CSS to an HTML file using all three methods: external CSS, internal CSS, and inline CSS. You should only be using type selectors for this exercise when adding styles via the external and internal methods. You should also use keywords for colors, e.g. blue, instead of using RGB or hex values. There are three elements for you to add styles to, each of which uses a different method of adding CSS to it. As noted in the outcome image below, all other exercises in this section will have a CSS file provided and linked for you. But for this exercise, you will have to create the file and link it in the HTML file yourself. This is all about practicing using different methods and getting the syntax right. Okay. Do not worry about details in these exercises that are not specifically mentioned in the exercise or self-check section, because the desired outcomes are screenshots. Your browsers may show a different font, the colors may appear different on your machine, or the spacing between elements may look different. Only concern yourself with the specific items you are supposed to be learning for each lesson. The properties you need to add to each element are a div, a background, white text, a font size of 32 pixels, center aligned and bold. For the P, we need to add a green background, white text, and a font size of 18 pixels. And an orange background for the button and a font size of 18 pixels. And the desired outcome is this: style the external method. I would like style internal method, please. Inline method. So style with external on that one. So what we'll need... Did you use all three methods of adding CSS to an HTML file? Did you properly link the external CSS file in the HTML file? Does the div element have CSS added via the external method? Does the P element have CSS added via the internal method? Does the button have CSS via the inline method? Okay. So let's copy this, right? And we're going to go into our index.html file. And at the bottom, we're going to add some... Yeah, let's do that. Okay, here we go. Properties you need to add to each element are div, red background, okay, white text, font size. So this is going to be, let me go back to the README. Central line in bold. Okay, and then it even tells us external. Okay, so div is external. I think this one is internal, and this one's going to be inline. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with the external method. So we're going to touch a file called style.css. Alright. Alright. Now, let's go into that. But we gotta link it first, right? So link it in the head and link style sheet style.css. Okay. So for the div, we need to add a red background. So background color, red. We need to add text color, or I guess we can do color white. Font size, how big? 32 pixels. 32 pixels. And center line and bold. Align, text align center, and bold, and then font weight 700. Okay, so now let's try it. So we saved it, style me via the external method. Pretty cool. And so far, it's kind of what it looks like, right? Okay, so that was the external. Now we need to do internal, which will be, we'll add a style, and let me see, let's kind of look, here we go. No, because that's inline, we need internal. Okay, and then whatever we want inside of here, so we're going to style the P tag, and we're going to give it a background color of green, a I bet you are internal, me too. A green background, white text, What did I put? Color? Okay, color. White text. Okay, so color, white. And font size of 18 pixels. Okay, so we did that. And let's kind of see. Alright. Now I'm sure if I did like that, yeah, see. And you can kind of see that, but since the page is stretched out. Okay, so the inline is for the button. Okay, so now for the button, we need to go in here. Actually, let's see. Yeah, so div style, and we're gonna add background color is going to be orange. An orange background and a font size of 18. So, and then font size. What did I fuck up? Okay, I feel like this. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's just try it. Okay, it says and then font size 18 pixels. Let's see how that works. And it works. Cool. So now our button. Okay. So let's go back to the README. Did you use all three methods? So let's just add a check. Oh, dang it. Oh, okay, well, I guess I can't. What's the emojis? What's the emoji key for Linux? Okay, anyway. Did you use all three methods? Yes. Did you properly link the external? Yes. Okay, actually let's look at the solution. So alright, so we linked it. Now, did we link it correctly? So link needed to be below the title. And we're gonna put our style below the link. There we go. Okay. But just to make it look cleaner. So I guess that's how they wanted it, right? Make it look clean. And we can remove that. It's okay, so we have our link to our style sheet. Right? So we linked it correctly. We have our inline and our our external, our inline, and internal. Internal, external, inline. Internal, external, inline. Okay. So now we'll check the solution CSS. Oh, we didn't use the number amount. So I used 700, but we were just supposed to put gold. But it didn't really change anything. Cool. Okay. So yes, does the div element have CSS added via the external method? Yes. Does the p element have an internal method? Yes. And does the button have a inline method? Yes. Alright. And that is complete. We actually did it. Yes, sir, you need to eat. I probably do. I got work here in just a little bit, actually.
One option is Agave Jalisco on State Highway 80.
I don't know what I said, but SRI heard that. I said something. Okay. Okay, so now we did that one. Let's go ahead and CD up. And see what else we got. So now let's do CD into O2 class and ID selectors, and we're going to open that up instead. We can now close this window. Alright, now let's look at the README for this one. Class and ID selectors. Knowing how to add class and ID attributes to HTML elements as well as use their respective selectors, it is invaluable. It's important to practice using them. There are several elements in the HTML file provided which you will have to add either class or ID attributes to. As noted in the outcome image below, you will then have to add rules in the CSS file provided using the correct selector syntax. Look over the outcome image carefully and try to keep in mind which elements look similarly styled classes, and which ones may be completely unique from the rest, ID, and which ones have slight variations from others, multiple classes. It isn't entirely important which class or ID values you use, as the focus here is on being able to add the attributes and use the correct selector syntax to style elements. For the colors in this exercise, try using non-keyword values, RGB, hex, or HSL. The properties you need to add to each file elements are all odd number elements, add a light pink red background, and list of fonts containing Verdana and Deja Vu Sans with sans serifs as a fallback. The second element, blue text, and add all odd number elements. Let's look at the file real quick. And that all, okay, so here we go. So all odd number elements, a light pink, and this is all going to be, yeah, okay, it's all going to be done externally. So make sure, let's see, we're already linked. So all odd numbers are paragraphs. So give me a second. Okay, all odd number elements. A light pink, red. Quick tip: in VS Code, you can change which color formats are displayed in RGB, hex, or HSL by hovering over the color value, the CSS, and clicking the top the pop-up that appears. No, part of your task is to add a font to some of these items. Do not worry about the font of the rest of them. Your browser's default font might be different than one displayed, and that's okay for this exercise. Okay, so let's go ahead and drag this in here. Okay. So, for all odd, we're going to add a class of odd, right? Okay, so all of these are going to contain a class of odd. Odd is going to have, oh yeah, hold on, there we go. Let me close that. Okay. Odd is going to have a light red pink. So background color is going to be light red, green, or sorry, light do it like that. Daddy? Yes, baby. Daddy? Good morning, baby. What do they want us to use? RGB, hex, or HSL? Okay. So I think that would be good, right? So first, okay. So we got a light pink. Let's actually change this a little bit more, right? Okay, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Let's add it a little bit more like that. And we'll save it. Okay. And list of fonts. Font family, and it's gonna be good morning, Jay. For Donna. Deja vu. Sans and right? Is that how you would? Okay. How to add multiple font CSS. How to So that changes it, right? Okay, and the second element, blue text, and a font size of 36 pixels. Okay, hold on. Whatever your test is to add a font to some of these items. Do not worry about the font of the rest of them. Your browser's default font might be different than the one displayed, and that's okay for this exercise. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even get to look at the desired outcome. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Oh. So this one, we're going to add an ID of second element, just to, right? And then in our CSS, we're going to call upon that second element. And we're going to color to blue. Right, but let's use blue and font size to 36 pixels. Alright, now we can refresh. Number 2. Mine looks different. Okay. The third element, in addition to the styles for all odd number elements, add a font size of 24 pixels. So for the third element, we're gonna add so it's class odd and class. In addition to the style for all odd number elements, add a font size of 24 pixels. Okay, and then in the style, we'll what did we call it? Oh god. Size. So dot size. Bless you. Dot odd dot size. Font size is 24 pixels, right? So let's see what change. There we go. Pretty cool. Does this change it any? It does. Okay, so we're gonna have that, right? The fourth element, a light green background, a font size of 24 pixels, and bold. So the fourth element is going to have an ID of fourth element, the style.css, we're going to have our fourth element, and we're going to add background color to be, what did you want? Light green. Okay, green. Alright. Let's okay. And a font size 24 pixels, font size 24 pixels, and a font weight of alright. And let's see. So we should have something like this. All odd numbers. Okay, well, let's look at the solution now. So oh, okay. It probably would have been better, but I had made my own little names there. In the solution, font family. Ah, okay. So if it's not listed like that, right? Madonna. So I called out to so instead of just let's see what he had. Oddly cool. So I didn't even need to call because the oddly cool just changed the font. So all I have to do is just put dot size. Right, it should stay the same. Cool. Okay. Well, I got a basic understanding of that. Alright, let's go ahead and do another lesson. Alright, let's finish the readme, right? Do the odd p elements share class. I want to say, yep, we share class of odd. Do the even numbered divs elements have unique IDs? Yep. Fourth element, second element. Does the number 3 element have multiple classes? Yes, it's 2. So, yes. Yes. And yes. Alright. Save that. So we got pretty close to what needed to be rendered. Alright, we're gonna open up the next one. So let's cd up directory again, and let's look into cd 03 grouping selectors, and we're going to open that up. And let's look at what we're supposed to get on this one. Click me, no click me. Okay, so let's actually open this up in our HTML, and we want to make it look like this. Let's build a little off the previous exercises, in which you hopefully added multiple classes to a single element in order to apply 2 different rules to it. And instead of having a single element with 2 different rules applied, though you're instead going to give 2 elements each a unique class name, instead of having a single element with 2 different rules applied, though you're instead going to give 2 elements each a unique class name, then add rules for styles that both elements share as well as their own unique styles. Make sure you can take a good look at the outcome image below to see exactly what is unique about each element and what both elements have in common. This will help you further practice adding classes and using class selectors. So be sure you add the class attribute in the HTML file. For the remainder of these exercises, the format of any colors is entirely up to you. We trust you'll practice using different values. The properties you need to add to each element are the first element. So let's have this open. The first element, a black background and white text. Second element, a yellow background. Both element, a font size of 28 pixels, and a list of fonts containing Helvetica and Times New Roman with a sans serif as a fallback. Okay, so we're going to go into our HTML file. Okay, we already have our style sheet, and we're going to give these classes. This one's going to be, let's see, this one is going to be left button, and this one is going to be right button. Instead of having a single element with 2 different rules apply, though you're instead going to give 2 elements each unique class name, then add rules for styles that both elements share as well as their own unique styles. So make sure you take a good look at the outcome image below. Okay, and the next one, so it kind of tells us they're going to share the same font, they're just going to be different colors. So surprise!
It's a surprise, Mommy.
And we'll call it just for the sake of this, we'll call it difference, right? Okay, so now we're going to go into the CSS, and we're going to write dot left button, and let's open this one. Okay. Okay, so left button, it's gonna have background, background color, it's gonna be black. And color white. Okay. Gotcha. hold on.
Sweetheart.
Okay, so we're gonna do, okay, so we're gonna call this one dot both, and it's gonna have
Mom, your toy.
font size of 28 pixels. Font family, it's going to be Helvetica. Times New Roman and sans serif. Alright, so let's actually fix that, and let's call class both both, right? Oop. Save that there. Okay, so now they're both like that. Okay. And then this one's going to contain a left button. Boom. White text. Okay, so it really didn't change nothing. And then a yellow background for the second element. So we'll add the second one, which is going to be called right button, and dot right button is going to have just a background color of yellow. So that should be it, right? Does each element have a unique class name? Yes. Did you use a grouping selector for styles that both elements share? Yes. Actually, what would be? Oh, I wouldn't even have to call it both. What I would need to call it is button. Call upon button, and it should give me the same outcome. So let's actually remove both, because that shouldn't even exist. Okay. Oh, does each element have a unique class name? Yes. Did you use the grouping selector for styles that both elements share? Yes. Did you make separate rules for the styles unique to each element? Yes. And so now it should still work. So now we have two buttons that are styled differently, and they share styles. All right. Boom. That's what we got. Okay, so now we can exit out of this one, and let's open up another project. Go up directory, CD. Oh, I keep doing the same thing. 04. Oh, I didn't even I didn't even look at the solution. So let's go here. You're sleepy, baby. And let's look at the solution. And let's compare. So, pretty good. So, these have different names, right? So, inverted, fancy, but I called mine left button, right button. You can name yours however you like. And then our style. Oh. Okay. Gotcha. So we want to call both. So left button and right button. And it's just sword. Okay. I get you. So that's what needed to happen. Other than that, I don't know if this makes a difference. I know sometimes the quotes may or may not, but we'll see. Nope, didn't make a difference. Okay, now... Oh, oops. Too many pages. Okay, let's go ahead and code. Go up one, and we're gonna CD into 04. Code. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna be using those. What is our desired outcome? From that to that. Okay. So desired outcome. Oh no. Not what I meant to do. Desired outcome that way. Alright. Chaining selectors. Credits for the images in this exercise go to Kacho Matudo. With this exercise, we provided you a completed HTML file, so you'll only have to edit the CSS file. For this exercise, it's more important to understand how chaining different selectors works than how to actually add the attributes. We have two images for you to style, each with two class names. Where one of the class names is shared, the goal here is to chain the selectors for both elements, so that each have a unique style applied. Despite using a shared class selector, for example, you want an element that has both X and Y to have one set of styles, while an element with X and Z has a completely different set of styles. We included the original images as well, so that you can see how the styles you'll be adding look in comparison, so do not add any styles to them. The properties you need to add to each element are: make the element with both the avatar and the proportioned classes 300 pixels wide, then give it a height so that it retains its original square proportions. Don't hard code in a pixel value for the height. Make the element with both the avatar and distorted classes 200 pixels wide, then make its height twice as big as its width. Here you should hard code in a pixel value. Okay, so now we're going to go into the index file. Okay, so use the classes below this line, use the classes above this line. Okay, so let's add this here. Okay, so far they're all the same. So what we want to do, let's open this on the other side. And let's do this. Let's add. Oh. There we go. That way we can see a little bit better. I don't exercise. I'm fat. Me too. It's okay. It's alright. Okay, so make the element with both the avatar and proportion classes 300 pixels wide. So dot avatar dot proportion right? Portion. Okay. And width 300. And then give it a height so that it retains original square proportions. So we're gonna do height is auto. Okay, so now let's see. Did anything happen? Nothing happened. And maybe I just did that wrong. Let's try that. No. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Nope. Okay. Make the element with both the avatar and distorted classes 200 pixels wide. Oh wait, are we linked? Style.css, yeah. Okay, so the first one, avatar proportioned. And okay, let's try that again. Okay, let's copy those. Paste that here. And let's call that dot. Just in case I misspelled something. No. Okay, because this one's supposed to be smaller. I might have to go back and look at. What is this one called? Chaining selectors? Okay, let's see. Avatar proportion. Maybe we have to keep going a little bit. But I would hope. Okay. So we're not, nothing's changing here. Okay, this is supposed to be... Make the element with both the avatar and proportion classes 300 pixels wide, then give it a height so that it retains its original square proportions. Also, make the element with the avatar and distorted classes 200 pixels wide. So dot avatar dot distorted with what? 200 pixels. Oh, that might be why. Right. And the height twice as big as its width. So height be 400 pixels. Now let's look. There we go. Okay, so it needs to go like this. So yes. Okay, so that's called chaining when they're together. So did you... Yes. Image retain its original square proportions. Yes. Does the distorted image end up looking squished and well distorted? Yes. Okay, so now let's look at the solution. Should have been that and okay, yeah. We could just move these up. It doesn't really matter. Unless it does, I'm not too sure. But it didn't change anything. But I had it right. Good job, me. Awesome. Like, should I do one more? So, yeah, let's go ahead and do another one. Let's close that. Let's CD back out, and let's CD into 05. Descendant Combinator, and let's code that. Okay. Let's open that. So put the README up front. Understanding how combinators work can become a... Oh, let's add that in there. So... Go... Understanding how combinators work can become a lot easier when you start playing around with them and see what exactly is affected by them versus what isn't. The goal of this exercise is to apply styles to elements that are descendants of another element while leaving elements that aren't descendants of the element unstyled. You can use either type or class selectors for this exercise. Use whichever you may feel you want to practice with more. The HTML file is set up, so no need to edit anything in it, such that any combination of selectors will work. So if you're feeling adventurous, you can even try combining a type and class selector for the descendant combinator. The properties you need to add are only the elements that are descendants of the div element. Should have a yellow background, red text, a font size of px, and center aligned. Okay, so only the p elements that are descendants of the div. So let's go look. Okay, let's go look at combinators one more time, just to be sure. Combinators. Okay, so that descendant combinator. Okay. So anything, any p inside of a div. So we're gonna go div and any p inside of the div. Right. We're gonna add. What do I want? Should have a yellow background, red text, a font size of 20 pixels, and center aligned. So, background color is going to be yellow, red text, yellow, color, red, and something like 200 pixels, right? Or no? Font size 20 pixels and center align. Okay. Font size 20 pixels and align. Text align center. Alright, so let's go here. Boom. And just to be sure, this should be styled, unstyled, this should be styled, this should be styled. Cool. Do the elements that contain the text, this should be styled, have the correct style applied? Yep. This one was a fast one. Yes. Do the elements that contain the text, this should be unstyled, have no styles applied? Yes. Good job. And now let's look at the solution compared to our style. So other possible descendant combinators: div p, div.text, container p. Ah. Okay, because I did the div p, but you can also do container that contains text. So let's just add that in there real fast. Okay. I just wanted to be able to show that, look, this works too. That would also be the same thing as that, except we're actually calling out the classes that we declared in the index.html file, but I was going based off of, they said only the p elements that are descendants of the div, and I was just going based off of a div with p's. So, but that's another way to do it. Awesome job. Okay, we're getting farther and farther. I think we're almost done with let's see, yep. We did 05, we did 04, we did descendant combinator, and now we're gonna do CD 06 cascade fix, and we're gonna open that up. And let's open up the README first, the index, the style, and the desired outcome. And let's open that in here. So this is what we have, and this is what we want it to be. Okay, let's read this. This final exercise for CSS Foundations is going to give you a closer look at the cascade, in particular specificity and rule order. Both the HTML and CSS files are filled out for you, so instead of adding rules yourself, you'll simply be editing what is provided. There are a few elements that have some sort of specificity or rule order issue in the provided CSS file. It's up to you to figure out what issue is affecting an element and how to fix it. You can edit the CSS file by adding, removing, or editing selectors for a declaration block, or by moving declaration blocks around. You should not edit the HTML file or any of the actual styles in the CSS. So we can move declaration blocks around, but we cannot edit the HTML file or any of the actual styles in the CSS. There are multiple ways to solve this exercise, and we did our best to include all the possible solutions for each element. Issues with the cascade can be the bane of their existence for many when it comes to the CSS. While you won't become a cascade expert from this exercise alone, and there are other ways to deal with these issues, it is still super helpful to see how these issues affect our final styles and why it's important to order rules carefully. If you add selectors to the CSS, do they target a valid HTML element? Okay, so let's look here. Can we do this too? I don't know if we can do that. Can we? We can! I didn't know that. Okay. So let's go back to HTML. So, for the body, we have a paragraph tag saying para. Ours is a paragraph with red text, and para small para. I'm a smaller paragraph, also with red text. Okay, let's go look at the para. Okay, select that and that. Move this down. Okay. So let's look at Para's font size is 22 pixels. I think this should be like that, right? Okay. Okay, so we got that, right? So button confirm. cancel button. Confirm button, cancel button. Both have an ID and class. Okay. Text child. Okay, so that needed to move up. Small para. Okay, so we got that. Let us... Let's look at the buttons, huh? Oh, okay. So there's the confirm button. Alright. So why isn't it showing green? So button confirm. So dot confirm should turn green, right? Unless we need to move this down one. Okay, let's see how this goes now. Boom. Okay, so now we got a green button. We have our first one, a green button. But now, our last div text child. Okay, so this one needs to move down. So this one needs to move up. Okay, now let's see. Yeah. Huh? Oh. Come on, little monster. Look at you. Oh my goodness. This is my last one right now. And then should be done. Okay. So there's button, there's confirm. Text child. So yes, we're not going to touch any of that. If you added selectors to the CSS, do they target I'm thinking that this needs to be div, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I think that is what needed to be done. Okay, now let's look at solution. Page, and there we go. Close that. We shouldn't have touched anything. Nothing should have changed. Oh, what did change though? So, oh, okay, nothing. Nothing changed. Okay. And so para. Taking advantage of the rule order since both selectors have the same specificity. Another solution would be keeping it in its original place and just chaining selectors. Giving this rule a higher specificity, so P.small para. For the following rule, we remove the original confirmed selector. Then we use an ID selector instead since it has a higher specificity than the button selector. Okay, hold on. So this, so para, and this one needed to be up here, right? Oh, and then it was para, and then button, huh? Okay. And then div text. Huh. Okay, maybe I didn't quite understand this one. So div text. Dot small para. Small para. Then it's a confirm button. And then div space that child. And still gave us the same thing. So we got it correct, but they want it to be more specific. So looking here, we should have used the ID instead. And then for the smaller text, para, or actually just the dot small para. Okay, this one was a bit weird. I mean, CSS is a little tricky for me, so I'd have to get learn or research a little bit more into CSS. But this was cool. Nice little projects to get done. But it is time for me to get off. We completed all of that. We might have to reread this later. But let's see where we were at, huh? So remember the recipe page. So now, okay, so they wanted us to add CSS to it. Okay, so we'll mess with some CSS either tomorrow or later tonight, but for now it's time to get off. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you learned something with me along the way, that is awesome. I'm glad to be doing this. It's a life-changing journey, so thank you for tagging along. Hope all of you have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.